Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to another Thoughts video, and this time we're going to be talking about Yakuza 0. I'm a little bit late to the party playing this game. The US release on the PS4 was at the end of 2017, the PC version was summer of 2018, and here I am playing it now in early summer 2020. It is my very first Yakuza game. However, I did play Judgment last year, which was made by the same developers. Ryu got to RGG. Takes place in the same fictional city of Kamurocho, but as far as I could tell, there is no connections to the Yakuza games, but it's pretty similar, right? Just from a different angle. You're playing a lawyer or a detective, private eye guy. There's a lot more legal stuff going on. I love that game, but I heard a lot of people say, if you like this game, you'll really love Yakuza. Yakuza is even better. It's got much more stuff. It's deeper. It's got a lot more mini games, side stuff, all this kind of stuff. I've been meaning to play Zero. I've had Zero since the first time it went on sale on Steam. Then I got Kiwami 1, and I have Kiwami 2, which I will play at some point in the future. But we're going to talk about Zero. First, I'm just going to start off by saying this is immediately one of my top games of all time. At least for the story. Story-wise, this game is in some of the best video game stories I have ever played. It's probably top 5 in terms of a game's story and narrative, characters, all of that combined. As a complete package of a game, I'm not quite sure. There's a few things that we'll talk about in this video that I don't necessarily like, or at least it could have been a little better. But granted, the original game came out in Japan in 2015, so the game is technically like 5 years old. The only thing different for the US versions, obviously, is the localization to get the subtitles, and then the PC version was going to have, unlocked frame rate and higher resolutions, but in terms of the game, it's going to be the same as it was 5 years ago. Game follows Kiryu, mostly, as well as Majima. These are two characters which I know are very key characters in the Yakuza franchise. Zero was made after Yakuza 5 as a prequel to the original game that came out on the PS2 back in 2005. That's a long time ago. So this game takes place in 1988. Wow. Kiryu is just an up-and-coming. He's just joining the Yakuza. He's 20 years old. Majima's 24, I believe. They did mention in the game. I'm trying to remember. And the game's chapter-based. 17 chapters. You play 2 chapters of Kiryu, 2 chapters of Majima. Back and forth, back and forth. The final chapter, you play both. Kind of go back and forth, playing both. And it's kind of like the game develops their character as who they were, as they're, fresh coming into the Yakuza mostly, and who they want to become, who they want to be. This game has got plot twists up the wazoo. It's gripping. It's insane. It's got one of the best cutscenes I've ever seen in a video game in my life, period. And this is all just the main story focus that I'm talking about. I mostly played main story. However, I dabbled a little bit in side quests. I dabbled a little bit in the mini games. There's a lot of stuff. This game has so much. You can gamble. There's blackjack, Texas Hold'em, Omaha, roulette, baccarat. There's pool, darts, and these are all fully fleshed out games, by the way. There is an RC car racing game, which is its own systems, because you can customize the car, you can upgrade the car, make it faster, do all these races. There's that. That is Pocket Racer. We have, what else is in here? There's bowling, which is its own game. We have, okay, so there's technically, they don't call them minigames. The game actually doesn't qualify them as minigames, but they basically are. Kiryu has real estate management as a way to make money, and it's its own thing. You get introduced to it main story, but you don't really have to focus too much on it. I didn't complete it, but it is something that you will get introduced to and have to do at least for a tiny bit, main story-wise, and it's up to you if you want to continue with it. And then Majima has the Cabaret Club stuff. They both kind of do the same thing. You're trying to take over, you're trying to help out the little guy and take over all these bad corporations, basically, within your field of what the thing is, and you want to beat them. The Cabaret Club, I think, for Majima was far superior because it was a lot more interactive, and it was a lot more fun. There was a lot more stats that were engaging. Kiryu's real estate was a lot more of just waiting. So I think that's right there is a negative that could have been a little nicer if there's a lot more interaction with Kiryu's thing. That's not to say that there isn't, right, when you go out and fight the guys and whatnot, but the gist of the thing itself, whereas the Cabaret Club, if you play the game, you know what I'm talking about, because as you open the club, you have to manage all the girls, you have to manage the tables, you have to make sure you know what the guests want, and you have to do all this stuff, and you have to actively do all of this stuff, which is really, really fun. What else is there? I know I'm missing stuff. Oh yeah, there's all the Sega arcades. If you want to play, there's Space Harrier. There's a racing game. These are all from like the 80s arcade games, and it's the legit game. There's crane games. Let's not forget all the side quests, man. So the main story is super serious. It's gritty. It's dark. It's amazing. The side quests are polar opposites. They are completely, ludicrously, ridiculously out of this world. Usually very funny, and goofy, off the wall. So it's a very good contrast if you want to like mix things up a little bit. If you're getting, it's too serious on the main story, you need a break. Go do some side stuff. Side stuff's getting a little too ridiculous. Let's go do some serious stuff on the main quest, dude. And there's amazing the voice acting. This game is just phenomenal in every regard. If you love story, if you love character development, this is a game you need to play. I don't actually know how much it costs right now, whether it's the PS4 version or the Steam version. But you gotta play this game. This game is amazing. And you do not have to do any of the side content. As I was saying, or alluding to, I didn't do that much, because I have other things on my plate that I want to do. I put in about 35 hours into this game. I did maybe 5% side content. Maybe a little more than that. And this game is one of my favorite games of all time. In story-wise, top 5. Easy. Yeah, so let's talk about some of the, from a more mechanical standpoint, of things that are good and things that are not good. I love the RPG elements. There's gear. You wear, there's sets of gear that you wear. You can pick up weapons. Weapons degrade, so to speak. They have a set amount of uses, but you can repair them. I never used weapons until the very, very end. Literally in the last fight of the game is when I first used weapons. But I was using armor and the gear that you get to get higher defenses. I love the skill, the different fighting styles. You unlock different moves, different things, and passives and skills and stuff for the different fighting styles. Each fighting style has its own master that you learn different moves from. You have to go train. And this is true for both Kiryu and Majima. So that's a total of 6 if you think about it. And I didn't do this, but if you complete the Cabaret thing with Majima or the real estate with Kiryu, you unlock a 4th fighting style with them. So that is insane. The game is so deep in that regard. There's a lot of ways to heal, to boost your health, to boost your heat gauge, which is how you do like finishers and super moves and stuff like that, which are incredible. They're so insane. You do all these crazy things, like you pile drive somebody headfirst into the concrete. Of course, they're not dead, by the way. You snap their neck, not dead, by the way. You literally pick up a motorcycle and you start swinging around with one hand and smacking people. It's so insane that it's good. But the combat actually, like, I love the combat. I love the beat 'em up aspect, but there are some elements about it that could be a little better. A real lock on would have been nice. The game has kind of like a pseudo lock on, where if you press right bumper, it'll kind of focus on the nearby target, kinda, but you will miss a lot. I found that I actually was a lot more accurate not locking on, because it doesn't have a lock on. It's like a pseudo lock on. Oh, I need to sneeze. Sorry about that. Yeah, so that could have used a little work, a little jank in that department. I'm hoping the other games that are newer will be a little bit better about that. But I remember Judgment had same issues, and that was in 2019. So I don't expect Kiwami or Kiwami 2 to be any better in that regard. So that would have been nice, because there definitely was some frustrations with that in some fights. I was playing on the hard difficulty, not normal. But all in all, it was still a lot of fun doing these crazy moves and whatnot with the combat. For me, my biggest complaint really with the game is the forced camera sometimes. Sometimes. It's weird. So the majority of the game, you can move the camera around any way you want. Not necessarily up or down. It has a fixed vertical angle, but you can spin it around 360 any way you want. Usually. Every now and then, if you're close to a building or if you're indoors or something like that, and you can move the camera, the second you let go, it auto refocuses, and it's really frustrating. And sometimes you can feel it trying to like fight against you. So that would just give me full control of the camera. You know what I mean? Like, there was definitely a lot of times in the game where I was like, I really wish I had full control to just move the camera around at any point in time. I know in Judgment you can move the camera around even vertically as well, because you have the drones and stuff like that. But so this is older game though, right? This is 5 years old, so I get it, whatever. But it definitely was frustrating at times. I don't like forced camera revert. Like, I'm looking around and it just reverts, or it forces the revert, or when I'm walking a certain angle, the camera forces the camera to turn a certain way when I would like to be able to see in front of my character or something like that. But again, it's not that often. I would say like 90% of the game, you have full control of how you move the camera, at least from a horizontal 360 angle, not vertically. But that's okay. There's no reason to really look up or down too much. What else can we talk about? That besides, the game's just phenomenal. I'm trying to like nitpick like negatives, because everything about this game is amazing. Voice acting, characters, story, the narrative, how it's presented, the pacing. All the minigames are amazing. Side quests are amazing. I already said the voice acting. There's obviously elements. Most of the side quests are not voice acted at all, if any. I don't know if any of them are. But they're side quests, so, whatever. Yakuza 0. If you like story, if you like deep characters, character development, strong narrative, dark, gritty, underground Yakuza world of Japan in the late 80s, you want to play this game. This game is phenomenal. You can get between... The Focus main story, you can probably beat the game in around like 25 hours, maybe less. And if you want to do all the side content, this game can probably give you over 100 hours. Whatever system you get this for, PC, PS4, doesn't matter. Play this game. Alright, I'm out. Next video. Peace.